chat, they might know the answer.
And
LinkedIn
that is,
says,
you're live, Gary.
oh, hello. I'm not saying hello to anyone on LinkedIn because it's thrown up a thing saying that that it's not going to LinkedIn. So let's just hit go live and see what
Yay!
happens.
Yeah. Ho ho ho!
What is
Ho,
LinkedIn?
ho, ho.
It's
I don't know.
Facebook for people who think they're better than the people that use Facebook.
It is. It is. It's. You can actually get much better class of argument there because people are scrambling. It's not much better class of argument, but people are scrambling to be grown up or pretend to be grown up rather than just lay straight into you like they would in other
Secret
places.
trolling.
See, yeah, so you can have some really heated. All my best arguments are on LinkedIn, but anyway, they're not with us here tonight. So sorry, LinkedIn, you're not here. Is this TikTok? Yeah, this is TikTok. This is exactly TikTok. We were just talking. The reason I started early is because Mark has a problem with his 3D printer, and one of the clever people in the comments here, might know the answer, and it's all about how far to push it in, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, it's all about pushing it in. That's what it's all about.
Yes, that's what
As
I heard.
far as she feels comfortable. I mean,
Yeah, well, at a certain point, the printer doesn't feel comfy, I don't think.
But you've broken it, basically.
This could go downhill very quickly.
Good,
you've overdone it.
So it's a Delta printer, and it's the guide for the filament seems to have been it seems to have gone too far into where the print head is, and it's heated up, melted, and now jammed the head. But how far does that feeder tube, is it meant to go into the print head block? That's kind of what I'm trying to work out.
Yeah, Rev B's going to have the answer. Says ditch FDM, get resin.
I've tried resin. It stinks. It's terrible. And it's no better, to be fair. I mean, the Delta printers do really well. When they're behaving, my Delta printers are just so easy when they're behaving. But this problem's happened twice now, and it's just me off.
See, I knew it's a female.
Yeah.
See, if Ian was here, he'd have the answer because with his Prusa and his Ender and all that, he's got all the 3D stuff sorted. I think he's onto 4D now. He prints in the past.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely.
He would know the answer.
He would.
Damn it, Ian, where are you?
He's working. That's where he is. Anyway, let's get to business. It's really annoying me, this exclamation mark on LinkedIn. But anyway, let's get down to some business. And the business I wanted to get to, which is the sale of AirMap. And luckily, Bruce is here to explain to me how the grown-up world works. Because if we let me go up here, let's go slides, new, what's this? No, let's share screen. Let's have Chrome tabs. Let's have this one. So this company, DroneUp, and they've just done a deal with Walmart in America and have started doing the delivery drones, but are worth 7.3 million. I'm going to swap over the tabs. Let's see if I move that over there. No, that won't do it. All right, so let's stop sharing that one, and then let's share the next one. In fact, let's just share this window here. Maybe I can move about. Can I move about them now? Yeah, so DroneUp looks worth 7.3 million, and AirMap's worth 78.7 million. How does DroneUp buy AirMap? How does that work? How can they afford it?
Inflation.
It's not a balloon.
It's only worth what people are prepared to pay, remember. So these valuations are based on pretty speculative numbers. You may find it's actually more of a merger but they want to retain the branding of the smaller company because it's got more value in the market. So you would merge and rebrand as the smaller company by way of saying, hey, this is a takeover or it's a purchase. Also, it depends how the deal's been structured. Is it in stock? Is it in how much in cash? A lot of things, you can't always take the headline announcement as being what's actually happened, I think.
Yeah, I mean, why would DroneUp, they've just gone into the drone delivery business with Walmart, so I guess they want a UTM all of their very own. But hopefully, this has puts to bed to me any sort of talk of international expansion for AirMap. Really, I can't see that that's necessarily going to be happening. And when they're going to come to New Zealand, I think.
Oh, they actually, I think they were talking about doing a trial with our CAA, but I don't know if that ever happened. I can't. It doesn't interest me. But the other thing, of course, if DroneUp's just got a whole lot of money to do drone delivery in the US, they will not. The investors or the company that's buying the services will not want to see them changing into AirMap. They will want to see them acquiring AirMap. It's all about the image and the perception. So there'll be some backroom dealings that have made this deal shape up the way that it shaped up. But yes, wouldn't it be great to burden yourself with AirMap? What a wonderful move forward.
I know. So I thought that today when I read it. Why on earth would you do that? But a caveat on Crunchbase is, I don't know how, but SES News is on Crunchbase. So if that rather shows that it might not necessarily be the most accurate.
What are you valued at, Gary?
Nothing. Look.
Oh, well, it's pretty accurate then.
It's very accurate. It's very accurate. And that SES News little logo that they pulled there, that's from the email probably more than 10 years ago. So I don't know how we got there. I don't know why we got there, but we is there as well. So that's my caveat about Crunchbase. Maybe it's not necessarily everything to be believed. But yeah, interesting day. But we kind of knew that AirMap was over because all sorts of people have left it, and not a lot happened. And coincidentally today, Lank is down as we speak. Lank is part of the AWS problem in the States, along with Disney and all the others. So way for RID and all that sort of a thing. I can't see any problems in the future.
Amazing. I mean, how many times has Lank been down this year with no other way of getting clearance, as I understand it?
You revert to the old way, that you directly talk to the air traffickers, but eventually they'll learn how not to do that, if you know what I mean. They'll forget what they need to do, and that system will fall out of fashion. And then when it happens, I bet you there'll be a blanket, and then I'll tell you what you see on the ground.
It is interesting, isn't it? I mean, they need Lank. You've got to have it working, and there's no kind of the system's got to be flawed badly somewhere. It has to be, because it just keeps falling over. I mean, what's it doing? It once every 3 months at the minute?
Something like that.
Gary's distracted. I sent him something.
You did, but it's full of viruses. It's full of viruses. He sent me this. How much am I worth then, according to that?
It was 3 to 5 million, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't know.
It's further down the page.
I couldn't open it up because it's full of viruses.
Bruce is trying to get you.
He's trying to get me. Oh my God! What on earth is that? No, it's not. It's not there. I don't know what he just sent me. Dear viewer, don't open that link I just posted. I don't know what Bruce has done. Just don't do it.
It's just a website. Google said you can go there. Must be good.
Yeah, must be. So I always butcher your name, Mal. You know who I'm talking to. Welcome from India. The benefits of a new company, I guess. I know it's very early in the morning for you, so I appreciate you being along with us. So that's it. That's the news for this week. There we are. That's about it.
Don't forget to tune in again next week.
Lots and lots of, but again, lots and lots of delivery stuff has been going on. Lots more re-upping of military contracts.
And a military drone crashed at an airfield somewhere in the US, wasn't it? Didn't it crash? They were teaching to fly drones near airports.
And it looks like, exactly. And it looks like the Predator is going to be one of the first certified platforms within Europe. That's looking like that's going to happen. And Volocopter.
What class is it? C1 or C2?
It's just a tiny little sticker on a great big thing. Volocopter's given up its SPAC. Now, again, grown-ups are going to have to explain what on earth the SPAC is, but they've pulled out of this SPAC thing. Over to you, Bruce.
I've no idea. I'd make stuff up, but people would know. No clues. Haven't got a clue. No,
I don't know what those SPAC investing things either.
No.
SPAC, but I know they've pulled out of it for whatever reason. And EHang are telling us that they're about to get certified with their machine as well. But I can't believe that.
I saw one American drone delivery company criticizing the FAA for holding back innovation in the US, and they want the drone regulations relaxed so they can get on with the business of delivering stuff by drone.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's going to go down like a lead balloon in the halls of power.
Absolutely. And Nicholas, go on after you, Mark.
I was going to say, it is the regulators that are slowing everything down. To be honest, we've got the tech, we've got the know-how. It is the regulation that is our biggest problem for drone delivery right now.
But we can't sustain this death toll. It's unsustainable.
I know this. Well, I was looking. Why have we got C markings coming in? So everything under 20 kilos, which was the UK, and then it's 25 in parts of Europe. So it's between 20 and 25 across Europe. All model flyers, our aircraft weren't C marked. Multi-rotor drones, the last 21 years, no C marking. And all of a sudden, they're going to bring C marking in for product safety, if you like, or drone safety. When you stop and take a step back, would we all be buying drones that fell out the sky every 5 minutes? Would you buy that drone?
Mine do
Probably
anyway,
not.
but I don't think it's the fault of the drone.
No,
Yes,
it's a lot of times it's fault of the user. It is fault of the user 90% of the time. So they said, we're going to bring in C markings, and this will give like an air certificate. It's like a certification, isn't it? Basically, it's saying this aircraft is worthy to do X, Y, and Z. However, they've said that we're not going to. I don't think the UKCA are going to retrospectively do C markings because they said it devalues the C marking. If an old aircraft gets it. But how many Mavic 2s Pros, for example, have killed people? And the Mavic 2 Pro is one of the best drones DJI have ever made. It's just an astounding machine. It really is. It's like the M210. It had the battery problems that we all found out about. I don't think that would have been picked up in any kind of C marking testing because it happened to come out over time, didn't it? It took quite a while for that to actually appear in real world usage. So, C markings, they're just, yeah. And we're only 1 year away before they have to come in.
Yeah. And I think
we've already established over a great deal of time, and increasingly people in this hobby and in this industry are realizing it's not about safety, it's just about control, and they haven't got the methods of taxing it yet. So they're just, until they can tax our every takeoff and landing, they're just going to restrict the activity because they don't want to miss out on any revenue.
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, though. So everyone at the minute is rushing to do their A2 CFC. So in the UK and across Europe, a lot of people are doing their A2 CFCs. Now, as we all know, the Mavic 3 came out, and what is it? It's at 80. Is it $2,500 for the Fly More package? Something silly. It's a silly machine, silly amount of money for the machine. For a half-cooked release, it's just ridiculous. However, your A2 CFC is only costing you like £50 or €100. It's really cheap. However, at the end of 2023, you're going to have to spend around $2,500 because, let's face it, DJI will have to go, oh yeah, we're going to have to call it the Mavic 3B or Pro or something, so it's got the C marking on it if they don't allow retrospective.
I thought they were going to allow retrospective, though.
Well, how far back will they allow that is the question.
Well, yeah, surely would be fair, or 2 years.
Well, you say fair. When have you known a regulator to be fair?
There is that, I suppose.
Still hoping to get my flame wheel slipped in there.
Yes.
So let's say, right, they go, right, so I think RCA, I saw on someone else's channel, they said basically it would devalue the C marking if they allow retrospectively to be marked up. And let's say they went with that stance. You'd have to have a new Mavic 3 come out, for example, and this is only an example, by the way. So you get a new Mavic 3, and they could call it the Mavic 3 Pro or whatever, because it's money for DJI. So for them, it's not a problem what they do. They don't mind. you get this nice new C marking, but now you've got to spend $2,500 to use your A2 CFC. That is quite scary. Because after 2023, it's straight out into the open category that aircraft goes.
Well, I'm not sure I get the idea of developing the C mark. When something new like this comes in, there's got to be a grace period for machines that are out there. So it's going to happen. But after a couple of years, the value of that C marking will be, well, everything will have to be C marked. So it won't have any value anyway, because everything will be C marked.
Yeah. When it comes to market, it'll have to have it.
It'll have to have it. So yeah.
But
that value in the C mark argument it's only going to be for a year or two at the most.
But here's kind of the point. Does the C marking mean the machine is made any better than the one before it? Because the Mavic 2 Pro, like I say, that is a brilliant machine. If any machine deserves retrospective C marking, a Mavic 2 Pro, they don't tend to fall out the sky. They're built absolutely solid. I mean, I've got two sat over there, and they just fly so well. You know what I mean? It's really interesting because the C marking is meant to be there for safety. It's that safety word where, there's all those dead bodies because the Mavic 2 Pro or any other machine has left all those decimated bodies, all those planes are falling out the sky because of drones. And the C2 marking is meant to give us this extra layer of safety. I can't wait to see how it matches the 21 years we've had with no deaths. I'm quite going to be intrigued by that.
I saw. I actually want to speak to Nicola about his cheap FPV gear because I believe also Ian was saying that isn't the shark bite stuff or whatever that isn't that no more or something? But Nicola, tell us. You've got a video out. Your latest video is about. Of course, it's not suitable for people like us because we only buy the best. But for people that can only afford the cheap stuff.
Bruce,
what were your findings?
Well, you've seen the video, so you know what my findings were. Now, what you don't know is my findings from this Sunday. So that makes it 3 days ago.
Okay. And what is your findings?
That video is going to go live tomorrow. So you will know. But let's just say that all the naysayers and perhaps some of the DJI users may be left a bit disappointed by what they currently have.
Well, you mean 150 milliseconds of latency?
No, range-wise.
So did you find your foamy on the mountain?
Haven't been there looking for it.
Oh, come. Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of years now.
Well, I'm pretty sure even non-biodegradable foam would be showing some signs of wear by now.
Absolutely. Yeah. But what was that Ian being here? What was the Skinner then with shark bite or frostbite or whatever it's called? Did you hear anything about that,
yep.
Bruce?
Yeah. Apparently, Sharkbite has referred all further inquiries to HD0. Sharkbite will support the gear they've sold, but in the future, basically, it's all HD0. So it looks like HD0 have taken ownership of the product, and they're going to be selling, marketing, and supporting it from this point forward, which makes you wonder what's Sharkbite going to do, because digital appears to be the future, unless you're me. And so selling analog goggles, even with HDMI inputs, it leaves you sort of out of the field a little bit. Previously, if they sold a digital solution as well, they could say, well, it works with our goggles. But now, if someone's going to buy an HD0 system, to be honest, they're probably better off getting the SkyZone 04X goggles because they're a better set of goggles.
So what is this really telling us? Is this telling us they're moving out the big umbrella companies moving out the FPV market?
Well, it could be. Yeah, Red Cat has obviously bought Fat Shark. What did they want from that purchase? I don't know. Maybe they looked at HD0 and said, we're not interested in going there. And so they've basically said, well, you guys take over, run with that. And now I don't know what they're going to do with the Fat Shark brand, because aside from analog goggles, they don't actually sell much.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I was thinking when I saw that. And of course, Chad's gone off on this new electronics DIY channel thing as well. So his head's been turned that way a little bit. And Nicola's reviewing products that are really cheap and seems to be really good. So they're going to struggle to be playing in that marketplace.
Because I can see people just asking for clues in the comments, and I can't see anywhere I can write, so might as well give them that clue. In my last video, I did say that if the system does 10 to 15 kilometers, it would be absolutely brilliant because it would serve well for most run-of-the-mill cloud surfing. Well, it surprised even me.
Well, this video's got to have clouds in it then. That was your big goal.
Oh, yeah.
Big aim.
That was like completely by chance, but yeah, it has clouds in it. And it overdid it. I mean, above my estimation, which is pretty amazing, given the...
And remind us of the price of these units.
And provided by the manufacturer. I mean...
Stock stuff.
Yeah, what else do you have that you can say this works above expectations with the manufacturer's antennas? Tell me. Because I can't think of many things.
And just remind me of the price.
It's about $440 for the complete set.
Gosh, it's junk money, isn't it? And that's cheap.
Gosh.
Wow. And what time will this be dropping on your channel tomorrow so people can go and watch?
I have no idea. At some point during the day, I'm just gonna make it public.
Yeah. Ian would be here with his media plan for the next 2 months. You'd have the time and everything.
That is not even with the biggest antennas that they sell as an option that you can buy with the system. With those, supposedly, it should be able to do quite a bit more. So we'll see. I didn't have enough time on Sunday because wintertime, short days. But next available,
you have those antennas,
weather permitting possibility, will be taken advantage of, and I will be testing with these antennas still because I don't yet have a pair of the larger ones. I only have one. So I'm waiting on another one. And as soon as it arrives, I'm going to do a mount or something so I can have them on the tracker as well. And yeah, we're going to see if it will live up to that 30-kilometer promise.
I look forward to seeing that with great interest. Yeah, it's a funny old world out there at the moment, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the major. Well, who are the major FPV players that are left now? Was it
digital or analog or?
Well, digital, analog, all of it. Has DJI killed a lot of the FPV market, I wonder?
I'm not sure. Actually, the other day I talked to a guy, and last race we were at, he flew with the DJI system, and now he said, well, I've removed that from my racing copter because basically you annoy all the other guys with the analog systems. You interfere with their systems, and the system that's supposed to detect you when you go through the
start gates,
the start stop doesn't trigger it. So, you know,
that's a very handy feature. That is.
They tried HD, and some of them are moving back to analog for racing.
Yeah, analog for the win. It's interesting because Ian's pushing the HD0 quite hard. He thinks it's great, but it's got some real intrinsic limits. In the video I've been threatening to put out for months now, I explain why HD0 is not going to get better anytime soon. They're basically limited by the fact that they're using a chipset that's now several years old, and things have moved on. So they're tied to this old chipset. And the more they sell now, the harder it's going to be to produce something new because they won't be easily able to provide backward compatibility. So they're going to have to say at some stage to their users, well, all your old gear will still work, but if you want to use, just like DJI, you'll have to buy the new stuff now if you want to continue on the progression path. And we've got Orca coming in supposedly with a solution. So I think I'd say to people, just either be prepared to write off your digital investment or sit on the analog bandwagon. I have so much fun with analog. I just don't understand why people are all so crazed on digital. I can get really good range out of analog. I can fly in areas where digital is just not reliable enough because analog degrades so progressively. I can fly when I'm chasing the motorbikes around the dirt bike track below the level of the contour of the land, so I've got no direct line of sight, and it gets pretty snowy, but I can still see what I'm doing through the snow, and I'm not going to have to worry about suddenly the whole thing freezing or breaking up so that I can't make out anything, which is what all the digital systems do, or getting a massive amount of lag in there so that I'm, half an hour behind the ball. So analog is just so reliable and robust. And it means I can set a quad up with analog for, $20-30 worth of VTX and, $20 worth of camera, and it works really great. And if I lose it or crash it or break it, I don't cry all the way to the bank. It doesn't overheat if it's sitting on the ground. There's just so many benefits. And then after the flight, when I've been looking through my goggles and my eyes are all covered in snow, I can get my HD recording camera footage and relive the experience again in glorious HD, maybe even 4K.
As if you're seeing it for the first time.
For the first time. Yeah, just like seeing it on YouTube when someone else has done it. You get 2 flights for the price of one.
Yeah.
Who would not want that?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I feel when I do my long-range flights and my cloud-chasing flights at a greater distance with analog. Pretty much I'm guessing most of the time, and then I see it for the first time when I actually review the 4K footage. It is interesting. It is an interesting experience for sure.
Yeah, I've got to say, a lot of the when I'm flying digital, I very rarely look at the DVR footage. I've already had the experience. I don't need to see it again after the event because it's no different to what I was seeing in the goggles. So why would I bother?
Yeah, I mean, but Nicola is a proponent of long range, and I should imagine even if it was HD all the way, you would probably see a different flight, as it were, when you watched it back, because your head's in a different place. Your head's not
in the clouds. It's in the clouds. I think I suspect he sleeps most of the flight actually, and then just reviews it afterwards.
Just waits for the lady to come along with the food. And
I do see you gasping at things in the chat, but I did mention to you last week offline that somebody did 50 kilometers with the Open HD system, and I don't think they used any power boosters, amplifiers, whatever.
Yeah.
But pretty good antennas and an antenna tracker are a must.
And then how high were they at 50 kilometers?
I didn't really pay any attention to that, but as long as you have a direct line of view of the plane and the signal's not going through trees and stuff, I think you're good. So 50
I'm waiting.
kilometers, I don't know. I think a kilometer up, a kilometer and a half should be okay.
That's nearly 400 feet, isn't it?
It is nearly 400. It's 399 feet, yeah.
Yeah, the flat earthers in the chat may do the calculations. If there are any. I know they have the curve calculator on a like a short link somewhere on a one button distance away from them, so they can do that calculation pretty quickly. So please guys.
Yeah, because I mean, it's 18 kilometers to the horizon when you're stood on the ground, something like that.
Something like that if you're standing on the deck of a ship or something.
Yeah, ship. That's right. It's 18 kilometers to every ship. How's that work?
Yeah, because the water is flat, but the ground isn't. So it depends where you're standing, what you're doing.
that's right. Unless
but I got to say,
high ground.
I got to say, I might have done some long range flying at some time, but I will never admit it. But it does get pretty damn boring. It gets pretty damn boring. To me, FPV is all about trying to miss things that are 6 feet above the ground and go through little holes and constantly be flying the aircraft. That's why I have no flight controllers in my FPV machines, apart from the one that sometimes goes a little further, because sometimes I think, I'd like to do a bit of long range. I get out my little sub 250 and I throw it in the air and I fly a long way away, and I think this is so damn boring, and if it crashes I'm going to have to walk an awfully long way. I don't like this much, so I come back and fly proximity closer.
I think you managed to reveal the video system there, Nicola. I think it was Open HD.
Fair enough, but I find clouds kind of hard to be close by, or they
going very fast.
They just refuse to come down that close. And besides, when I'm testing something, I'm doing the long range tests. I usually don't do them just, because they're so exciting. I'm testing something like a radio system, a video system, or whatever else. That's why they happen. Otherwise, I do love some low hanging clouds. And the occasional proximity flying, maybe, but depends. I'm kind of picky about that.
You see, if you know FPV, I like low. I do like low.
I
do
like
like low and tree dodging is where I like it. However, Bruce is a multi-rotor guy, typically, I think.
And fixed wing.
Oh,
I still fly fixed wing. Hey, have you seen Notam Crow's latest video dropped this morning with the Zod 250 Dart? And he's flying low proximity. It's really excellent.
I've got to look that up because I do like fixed wing, low FPV, and if I'm cruising 2 foot off the deck, I'm quite happy at 2 foot cruising off the deck.
Yeah, testing sandwich. The top comment there, Peppermint. Testing sandwich filling. Yeah, I can imagine on his long flights, transing it out. Nicola does have a lady coming along with a trolley, offering food and drinks. And
interrupted only by the occasional. Oh my God, where did that mountain come from?
You may be joking, Gary, or at least you think you are, but sometimes that actually happens.
Well, you see, the truth is out there.
We know you're not paying attention when a mountain can sneak up on you.
Exactly. Jump up and get that lovely phone.
Well, it didn't really sneak up on me. It sneaked up on the flight controller. So Arju Blaine wasn't paying attention, wasn't me.
You need Arju Mountain.
Set
from the boys.
Set your return to home height higher than the mountains.
Yeah, I have done it. I do have the same video confession to make because I thought I'd try and miss the mountain by 5 meters, and I got the wrong 5 meters. I got -5 meters, so I have got Arju Blame.
And you're only relying on GPS anyway, which doesn't have the necessary vertical resolution.
Yeah, and obviously I was in sight of the thing at all times, so I knew what was happening. Obviously, I mean, come on. You wouldn't do it any other way.
It's so weird as you watch your because I'm going to now do the admission as well, where I've landed on a hillside as well. As you watch your plane cruise down a valley, we were doing some testing on a range, and as it cruises down the valley, and you can see it, you're going, that's a bit close to the side of that valley. What's going on there? And next thing you know, you've landed because it's just got the side perfect. It's just like, okay.
So landing is a euphemism in this occasion.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was perfect. The aircraft was absolutely perfect how it landed, side on the side of the hill. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I was still getting the people, those horrible horrible cheap radios that everyone uses. I've got 1 or 2 here somewhere, but people was moaning I can never get any more than like 50 meters or whatever. Oh. I was 8 kilometers away and I was still getting data from it. So it was definitely at the top of the mountain, and it was definitely on my side of the top of the mountain. So that kind of helped. A very brave chap had to go up and pull it down off the side of the mountain.
I have to admit,
get the GoPro back.
I have to admit, I did not go and recover the plane either. Someone else went to do it off the range because it was a live fire range, and I went, "They'll go and fetch it. That's fine by me. It's over there. You can see it on the hill."
Yeah, didn't land.
I still have plans to do the balloon launch with the 200 milliwatt transmitter video hanging underneath, and I have my satellite dish with my antenna receiver in the focal point, and I'm going to see just how far I can get on 200 milliwatts analog with a satellite dish giving me, I don't know, it's probably 26, 28 decibels of gain or something, and just see how far we can push the limits. Because of course, it's quite legal to do this in New Zealand. You can fly balloons beyond visual line of sight as long as they don't weigh over 5 kilos or something.
I wonder if I can do that.
LoRa radios, 800 kilometers is with LoRa radios.
But not video, unfortunately.
Not video, no, not video. No, not video. Just one data packet saying I'm still alive. But yeah, these radios are amazing. We've been playing around with these again this week, and I don't understand. They are magic, but they work.
Tell Laura I love her.
Exactly. Really, I'm surprised we haven't seen. I suppose we don't have. We have bigger bandwidth requirements, but I'm surprised we don't see more LoRa stuff about in our world yet.
Well, there's plenty in the RC world now. A lot of stuff's going
Is there?
LoRa from long range. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay. I don't keep up with it like you guys do. And was that just for the telemetry? It must be just for the telemetry.
No, the RC link as well. Some of them operate fall back to LoRa when they go below a certain link quality, and it'll give you much more range. I think Crossfire's like that in some regards. It operates in a high refresh mode and then drops into a low refresh mode, which is basically LoRa.
Yeah, very good. I shall have to look into that. So right, that's FPV. We discovered that that's going away now because DJI made it go away. I don't know if you've been following or looking at the Mavic 3 threads all over the place, but my word, there's some positive people jumping into every single one of those threads now, like an army of positive people. Is something going on there, or am I just being too sensitive to it?
I don't know. I mean, I actually know someone that's got one, and they sent me some footage, and it is nice. And you can clearly tell that the camera is an improvement on a lot of the others. So you can see shadows better. And it's in night flying, it's really good. A lot more depth in the images. It is looking really nice for photos and video. But is it worth the money over a Mavic 2 Pro? Probably not, or a Phantom 4 Pro. And remember, it's a half-cooked release. It can't do half the stuff it says it can yet. So would I? It's like me. Would I spend $2.5 grand on a fly mode pack? No, I wouldn't spend $2.5 grand on a fly mode pack. It's not worth it. Mavic 3 is just not worth the money right now. I think it will be. But
well, apparently, the sales are pretty poor because the price is so high. So they're bringing out a fly less pack. It doesn't have a battery in
it. But yeah, from the footage I've seen, it is really crisp. It's really nice, really solid, and the stills are really nice. But I also know the guy that flies it, sets it up, and does the editing. And he said, versus the Inspire 2's X5S, he doesn't actually like the video from the Mavic 3. But it's right now, it's a pain to fly for a lot of things because it can't do half the stuff he needs it to do. So you're just limited by that at the minute, and that's the biggest problem with it, really, to be honest.
I'm just thinking about that SkyDroid comment, because there is the H12, and it looks like the T12. So it looks like you're absolutely right. It does, but not the one I've got, sadly, or the ones I've got. I do have access to the the T12s and 10s as well. So yeah, I'll play with that. I didn't realize that. We learn something new every day. I am still not impressed with this radio, but that's because I'm a JR. It's just.
The problem is if you're flying JR quality, when someone brings you something and give it to you and you're feeling it and you're touching it, playing with the gimbals, you're going, this is wrong. It's like, no.
But the crazy thing is the new Radio Master gimbals are like so bling bling and so silky smooth. It's like the cheap Chinese manufacturers produce the best gimbals in the world.
Futaba. Yeah, Futaba's another one.
And they light up. Like Ian would love them because the RGB. Woo! He loves everything RGB.
If it's got USB, you can set fire to it as well.
And
Mal, I'm going to call you Mal. I do think they all come from the same factory, and they've got the same chipset as the fancy one from Philip, the Hearlink. Some elements, there's all the same chipsets, and I think there's problems with fidelity on the sticks that Hearlink's overcome, but I don't think the SkyDroid people have. What I love is their comprehensive multi-page manuals with clear instructions and.
I gather Hearlink are using a better phone inside.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. Yeah, that's it. No, it's and the Android. It's the link. The Android computer or the Android side of it, and the radio side of it is not talking fast enough, apparently, according to Ian. And Ian knows everything, so that must be true. So I think that's where my my thumbs tell me I'm not completely in. Well, I'm not in the loop, to be fair, but I feel even less in the loop. There's latency there. You can tell there is compared to radios that we're used to. But of course, if you're coming to this fresh and you've never flown RC or anything at all, then you're not going to know any different. So you're supposed to be flying it in drone mode, aren't you? Auto, take off, do its stuff, land. You're never supposed to use these sticky things, really. So that's my 2 penneth worth. So what else have we seen this week while I'm having only 2 penneths?
There was a car meet in the UK, and of course the bit that made it interesting, so the police went, dealt with all the car racers, but the one bit that made the headline, that made it really stand out, was there was a drone flyer there. So the drone pilot was arrested.
Fair enough too.
So
She's right.
yeah, so they arrested the drone pilot. That's the bit that made the headline. Yeah. Yeah, seriously, they arrested the drone pilot. They're going to use his footage to do the car racing guys, of course, because they've then got footage of proof of everything that was going on. We don't know what drone he was flying, so he could have been flying perfectly legally. That's the bit we don't know. So he could have been flying completely legally, but they just seized the drone anyway. So we don't know much more than that. But it's interesting how the drone headline made it. Do you know what I mean? It's the drone flyer makes the headline, not so much the car racing or anything else. It's a drone. We've had,
yeah, but I've never heard of a car bringing down an airliner.
Well, interesting you should say that, Bruce. So this week we've had the Daily Mail, or last week we had late on Daily Mail. They did their pump out story of an air
6 feet. 6 feet. You know how close that is? That was so dangerous. It could have been a drone.
Where's the dash cam? Where's the footage? Where's the photo? Those 200 people behind them, where's their photo? What a load of twaddle. And then
you don't get much of a view down the back.
Yeah, but if you're looking out the window,
they got cameras in those planes. You can put them up on the little seat in front of you. You can see outside. They got little external cameras. You could have watched.
Yeah,
Tesla made planes. This wouldn't be happening. They have cameras everywhere.
Exactly. And then the BBC pumped out the same rubbish. And the problem is, the only way to kind of get people's attention, to make them thinking of registering their drone and where they're flying, is to pump out these rubbish negative stories because it's Christmas. That's what it is. Call me a cynic or anything you like. But it's going to be because it's Christmas is coming up, and it's like, how do we get people to register drones and think about where they fly? Tell you what, let's write a rubbish bullshit article. And that's what they do.
Are the sales actually going to move the needle this year on, I don't know, top 10 things bought this Christmas or top 100? Are they going to make the top 100 even this year?
And if you read the weather forecast in the UK, if they take them outdoors, they're just going to disappear off to Ireland in the wind.
Yeah,
they moan about the weather over there, eh? Cool.
Our weather's really good. Well, Mavic 3 won't make the top 100. It won't make the top 1,000. The Mavic 3 won't, because it's just, the Mavic 3 will never make it. The Mini 2, I mean, there's a chance the Mini 2 might make it, but at the minute, of course, there's a major still chip shortages. Getting hold of a PlayStation 5 is bad enough. That alone, a Mini's easy to get hold of, to be honest, compared.
And of them, that's the one I'd want for myself.
Yes.
Even the Raspberry Pi Zero W2 is hard to get hold of. I managed to get one, but they're hard to find. They're all sold out in New Zealand now.
Yeah. Our stocks we have the only African supplier here, and they keep saying, "Whoa, we're running out of this, we're running out of that," which is it is definitely a worry. There's less and less safety campaigns running up to every Christmas, which is another indicator that the market is growing up, and that it's not as bad as people.
Well, the FAA still have their little drone cartoony thing. How patronizing is this little code drone? Oh my God, are you trying to treat us like little children, and you expect to get respect for that? It's terrible. Little children are not flying drones because they can't sit the exam. They can't, and so why are you not targeting at the people who are responsible for the little children? They're the ones, you treat them like toddlers. Well, you're going to get no results out of that.
Yeah, I know. It's it's safety first aid last. There was a terrible. Did I talk about this last week? I can't remember. with our terrible safety record in the drone world, there was a terrible story from the AAIB about a light aircraft that flew into a notoriously short, wet and boggy field in the Lake District that you're supposed to have prior permission from to go into to receive a briefing from the farmer who would say, no, it's soaking wet. And he went in there with a completely unsuitable aircraft. It's for stall aircraft, cubs and malls and that sort of thing. And the farmer wouldn't let him fly out too up. He insisted that the passenger got out and went with another aircraft, and the guy put it through some mud and then managed to kill himself. But the longer story to that was all through the bloke's training. There was indications that he was a bit of a cowboy, and nothing was done about it. And that's in the manned world, 100 and whatever years of their rules being written in blood, and that can still happen. So there really needs no DJI Phantom 5. Yeah, I don't think there is a 5, but maybe Mark knows better. But yeah, where I was going with that is, why are we even worrying when the manned world is just not paying attention and sorting it out?
Because they've totally taxed the manned world to the limits of their capabilities, so now they must move on.
Oh dear. Bugger.
I mean,
yeah, almost red.
I mean, it's like the reason we pay to be drone operators. That £9 does one thing and one thing only. You accept liability. You're accepting liability as a drone operator. It's the one way, if something goes wrong, they can try and ping you to the ground and go, you did that. And that's what registering as an operator does. If you didn't register as an operator, as Bruce has said many times, you're not subscribing to their rules, really. You're going to fly safely and everything else. But it's just, it's a sad state, really. Yeah.
It's a sad.
Surely the Raspberry Pi on the bedside table must be due for an upgrade. So there's another couple of $1 million likely to be spent on this system. I mean, it must be taxing it to its limits by now.
That would have been a 3, wouldn't it? That would have been a 3A. So
time to go to a 4.
Yeah,
well, remembering that, how much is a Raspberry Pi? An extra £1 million. So the system would have cost an extra 3.3.
Yeah,
that's
definitely £1 million ago, definitely. But you've got to crack down on drugs over there, and I see you've got a new chief of police in Boris. I see the pictures of that. So you've got to deal with that over there at the moment.
It's ludicrous, isn't it? In America, marijuana has basically been decriminalised in most states, and it's the same in many other countries around the world. But in the UK, we're going to beat the snot out of these people, lock them up and throw away the key. Again, it's like drone regulations. How can they be so different in different parts of the world if we've got the same problem, same people, same outcomes? Surely the solutions would be very, very similar, but they're not. They're so wildly different. Everyone has to make their mark for some reason.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, right? I'm not into drugs. Not interested, not anything. However,
you can't fool us. I can see what you look like.
So to me, though, people that want to smoke weed or you want to do coke or certain low-level drugs, if you like, why they don't legalize marijuana, legalize it all, and make money from taxing it, put these dealers out of business completely. That's how you do it. That's the best way they could probably deal with everything in that kind of level. All low-level drugs, we're going to make them legal, but you've got to go to a pharmacy to buy them or something. You can't just walk into like a superstore and buy it off the shelf. It's like at a proper pharmacy, but we're going to make money from it. And that money we make, we're going to pour back into the system to deal with the harder drugs like heroin and stuff like that. But
it's just like there's a great analog, though, when you look at drones, because drones are not costing anyone's lives. They're totally safe. And if you look at the actual cost of alcohol to society versus marijuana to society, you don't see people having a smoke of a marijuana cigarette and then beating their wives up or driving and killing someone. It's a far less socially damaging drug, regardless of any physical effects. It pacifies people, puts them to sleep, makes them want to eat a lot of food and go to sleep. It's not like alcohol enrages people to get violent. So why are we we legalize the dangerous one, manned aviation, but we are constantly trying to crack down and eliminate the safe one, drone flying? It just makes no sense.
You said with the marijuana of the aviation world.
Fly high, Gary. Fly high, man.
Could you imagine, though, Could you imagine if alcohol was invented today, or like this year, would it be legalized?
No,
If
it's a legacy drug.
Yeah, exactly, Bruce. It goes
It's a
back
tax,
that
isn't it?
far, and it's that much big industry. And let's face it, alcohol's a massive industry. But they could build a similar industry, that's highly, it's regulated and everything else is done. And it could all be, you could, yeah.
You could say the same of aviation. They look at today how restrictive it is when you're trying to develop stuff and come up with new things. Imagine if this regulatory regime had existed when the Wright brothers were out there. And I see those guys that build bikes down the road. They want to build a flying machine. Hell no, they'll hit an airliner and kill people. Oh, what are we going to do?
So prime example of this is the FAA again. So Elon Musk wants to launch Starship. His problem at the minute is the FAA trying to get permissions to launch and do testing. So switch around. He rents Pad 39A off NASA, which he's been doing for a long time. NASA said, oh, okay, you want to build a launch pad here? And he's gone, yes, we can do that. And that way he will escape to a degree the FAA, because once it's on 39A, it falls under NASA's jurisdictions, I believe, and they're subtly different because of the launch area and everything. So it'd be interesting, but it looks like it's trying to escape a bit of the FAA a bit by shifting its test launch sites and everything across to 39A.
Well,
Speaking of which, did you see that ludicrous centrifugal rocket launcher thing that was in the media a while ago? Spin it around, let it go. Is that ever such a flawed concept? Can you imagine? They got all that kinetic energy in that projectile, and they're going to disconnect it from the rotating assembly, which will then be completely unbalanced and smash itself to pieces.
Yeah. No, I thought that was very cool. That was straight out of Popular Mechanics. I love that. That was brilliant. And you see,
just a spinny trebuchet.
Yes. Well, they did for a long time. The things that Marilyn Monroe built. They had a circular launch for that. They had a wire launch, and you can find them on some airfields. And then they went off the wire.
Control line launch, the other ones.
Control line launch, that's it all the way. Control. And funny enough, I see in Bangor there's a little bit of resurgence in control line. I see control line kits. And
there's no chip shortage in control line.
No, none at all. It's like, I might have to pick myself up one of those. I might have to.
But interestingly enough, in many countries, the drone rules apply to control line models now as well. What are they thinking? What are they smoking, these people? Jeez.
Bruce doesn't really go to Facebook Messenger. He's just abusive on Facebook. He doesn't read the messages.
No, I prefer not to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, whatever it is.
We're broadcasting. We're on Hello LinkedIn.
Are we on LinkedIn? I'll be quiet then. Might be adults watching.
There will be adults, definitely adults there. There was something where people could. Oh yeah, remember that first pizza delivery thing in England, Domino's? Who was it that flew that, Mark? The Domino's pizza thing. Do you remember that years ago? And that was
Flutie had an arrangement with Domino's. I don't know if they're in the UK though.
No, this is the one that was done like 10 years ago, and it was done before people had even sort of thought about it.
That's when the pizza was bought with a Bitcoin. Oh, I wish I had that Bitcoin now.
Yeah, I did. You ever watched was it Gadget Man or the Gadget Show or something?
Yeah, it was before that even. Yeah.
Was it? Because we did that. Was it before that?
Ooh. It was before that. It really was one of the first ones. But it surfaced on LinkedIn as a brand new video. And I can't, for the life of me, can't remember who did it, but it's more than 10 years ago. And we were saying, look, there's no shielded propellers, there's no this, there's no that. No, it was a bloody spoof. It was a spoof done like 10 or 12 years ago about how things might be. So that brought out a load of experts on LinkedIn, and it immediately revealed actually how long they've been interested in the business and how long they've been around. It revealed that to me anyway.
There's a local operator near me, Michael Keng. He's a really nice guy, and we're in the same area. But he did ice cream delivery at Skegness, which is just over there. He did a spoof of drone delivery with ice cream, so it was all staged. It was all done correctly. You would not believe how many people reported him to the CAA because they thought it was real. And he had to literally go with the paperwork and say to the CAA, This is how we did it. It was a spoof. This is how it was done. And he literally had to go, because they audit, PFC holders back then. They will audit you. And he went, there's my paperwork. There's my risk assessment. There you go. And they were like, yeah, fine. Because if you do anything, if you spoof it, you've got to be so careful, because people just, yeah.
No. The today I won't say the registration of the manned aircraft that flew between the trees where we were sat with the family as he went underneath the weather that rolled in on us today. Your clouds, you're saying, Nicholas saying it was hard to get to clouds. I was thinking about that. Well, now I watched this chap go under some clouds today, right by us.
Was he after a Darwin Award?
No. The ground does fall away, drops another 3,000 feet beneath us. And so he went under. He was letterboxing, but and where our house is, it was really clear. Then Nottingham Road, which is actually a town, the cloud was wrapping the top, and then down into Howick it was clear. So he was letterboxing down into the valley, but it's very, very dangerous. But yeah, I'm often looking down on clouds, so I could easily do Nicholas FPV flying into clouds easily without having to go very far. Last mile drone delivery happen anytime. It's dead end, absolutely dead end.
What's the dead end?
Last mile drone delivery.
No, that's going to be rovers. So I think
it's not going to be, isn't it? It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So last mile. The problem is with last mile delivery is drones got to go to a garden. You're going to have washing lines, you've got trees, you've got pets, you've got ponds, you've got sheds to avoid, you've got all that kind of crap. And you can actually just get a rover Starship that is run by, I forget the main company. They're roving around Milton Keynes, if you look it up. Google Milton Keynes.
And
Northampton Starship. You'll see little videos of these little things whizzing about, carry about 10 pounds in weight or something. And they deliver shopping to people. They come to your house. They send you a text. I'm outside. You go outside, open the app. They are the last mile delivery, or last 2 miles.
Did you see the video of them all stuck in the snow this week?
No, but only snow is one of the few things I think that will stop them, or really high winds. Where right now in the UK, no drone's going to be flying.
Yeah.
Anyone that takes a drone out at the minute for the next 4 or 5 days is just mad.
But if you think about it, they just should go out with one with like a propane burner on the top, or Bruce has got the radio control for it, isn't he, for the rover? The snow plow or burn off the ice or something like that before the main ones go to work. I mean, it's not that hard a problem to solve. Or even some youths with brushes that go and walk out in front of them and just clear the path.
I mean,
social service.
Well, fresh snow would be the worst thing for them, I should think. Of all the things that they won't like, is fresh snow as it builds upon the wheels as they're moving along and trying to push through that. But yeah, once that snow's been trampled down and stuff, the little things won't care. I mean, yeah, they're brilliant. And let's face it, what would you rather have? Would you rather have them do the last mile, or would you rather have thousands of drones weighing 25 kilos whizzing over your head?
But they won't be flying because Lank's down. So, it can't happen.
That's the whole thing with that proposed remote ID, isn't it? With the network remote ID. If the network goes down, what happens to all the drones that are in the air? And what happens to all the drones that need to get in the air? The whole thing falls apart. The single point of failure, we live in a networked world where we have distributed intelligence and things, and yet we're going to create a single point of failure through this network remote ID system, and someone thinks this is a good idea. Yeah.
I mean,
the main proponent of that's been sold today. The main proponent of that is no longer, has left the room, and yet the mess that they've left behind them is what we're all having to deal with all around the world. Ranting hat off, but that's the truth of it.
I wonder how many decision makers have shares in air maps.
Well, they're worth a lot less than they were yesterday. So, VC money types, yeah, exactly, John. They don't sweat the small stuff like a wire, just a wire or a twig, or a.
It's Don't get me wrong, certain places, where you got to fly 50 kilometers, 80 kilometers to deliver stuff, that makes sense for a drone. Critical deliveries can make sense. But at the point we get to self-driving cars completely, that will also help eliminate anything that flies. Because will you send out a self-driving van? So here's an idea then. You got a self-driving van. It could be UPS, could be whoever. And it'll text you and say, I'm outside your house. And what will happen is you'll walk out towards the vehicle. You'll scan your phone. A hatch will open and your parcel will be there. And there'll be no one on this van at all.
Well, we've already got that service here in maybe you have everywhere else in the world. I don't know where at garages and some shops now there are lockers. And you do,
but you imagine
exactly do
the
that.
Locker comes to you though.
Yeah. Well, that's the difference, isn't it? So all the technology for the locker, unlock it. It's you just put it on a van or put it on your autonomous van. That's yeah.
And at that point, there you completely eliminated everything else because. Do you send out a van that can carry 200 parcels, or do you send a drone that can carry 2 things or 1 thing? What would be the point? I mean, it's only time. Technology is right now the only kind of thing holding us back. And one of the things holding us back, of course, is a chip shortage still, because that's still holding us back massively. Because people want to design new chips, get them built, R&D and all that. But right now, there's still that massive bottleneck. Until that bottleneck shifts a bit, R&D on new chip designs and testing them is just going to be a little bit slower at the minute.
I can't wait for a few years' time when we have the chip glut, because all this capacity is going to be coming online in 3 to 5 years. Billions of dollars have been invested in these new fabrication plants, and the demand isn't going to increase significantly. So we're going to have, like when we have those big RAM gluts whenever, basically they were giving RAM away. It'll happen again. So 3 to 5 years' time will be a good time in the electronics industry.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bruce, because at the minute, although prices of tech is really high, I do think you're right. In 5 years' time, there'll be a massive glut as all these big, everything comes online. There'll be a big glut, and they're going to go, oh, okay, so we'll sell it all cheap now. And it will happen. You're right, 100%, I think there. It just takes time for things to get going on.
Civil disobedience, how jolly dare you? We must comply. We must comply.
I think remote ID will be interesting depending where you are in the world.
Well, next year's going to be a big fight in New Zealand. Watch this space, because they're going to try and bring in registration next year. I guarantee it, in New Zealand. And I'm going to do some very high profile flying without registration, and we'll just see what happens. I'm going to have to crowdfund some defense and
I'm
have
definitely going to try and get a job in the New Zealand CIA.
Yeah. You can get me, Gary.
I want to come and get you.
He wants to taser me. Light me up, make him dance. It will be interesting. I'll get very little support locally, but and I'm going to have to crowdfund my defense and crowdfund some covering fines and things, and crowdfund the occasional file and a cake. But I'm going to just take a stand. I'm just going to take a total stand and just see what happens when people actually stand up, and whether they take me off and put me in front of a judge and lock me up.
Yeah, I don't think they'd want to test it. I think that's largely what happens around the world, is they don't want things ending up in court because they don't want it being tested. Because they know it'll fall apart.
It's quite interesting. So in the UK, the CA have always wanted someone to be caught in a congested area, what they define as congested area, and go to court. So it was set in stone, because during the years of the PFCO, it was never like, no one had been to court to prove, to have it stamped to go 100%, you in a congested area, you were flying illegally, done. Everyone just go, yeah, I was caught, yeah, fine. And then they pay the fine or get told off, wrist slapped or whatever. So no one ever took it to the stage that the CA really wanted it to go to, because they wanted it in court.
Well, it's interesting because here in New Zealand, if you get approached by CA, if you've done something wrong, they usually give the option, you can take a summary fine, or we can take you to court, in which case we'll throw the book at you and you could end up with prison time. So most people just say, oh, I don't want to go to prison. This guy here, I love prison. well, I haven't never been, but it's lovely. You get food, you get accommodation, you get heating, there's TV, the whole thing. Why would I not like that? Free accommodation. I can save in the meantime. It's all good.
Yes, yeah. Well, we are definitely deteriorating into nonsense here. So, what else have we seen this week? I'm going to make this a short one. Going once.
Not really.
Going twice.
It's Christmas. The Christmas doldrums.
It's Christmas.
It's
Yeah,
almost
it is the Christmas doldrums.
There's a clue. There's a clue on your screen.
Which of these people is not Christmassy?
Which means everyone put their thinking caps on, because I think before the new year we need to do some predictions as to what's going to happen in the next 12 months. And then next Christmas we'll turn around and look at how absolutely wrong we were.
Yes.
And we could be wrong enough to even be venture capitalists. That's how wrong we're going to be.
Yeah, again, a grown-up's going to have to explain to me how they make yet another ultralight crash in Australia. Is that what's going to happen, or what did happen, Michael? Terrible if, This manned aviation it's a very hard case to make that it's safe and needed. I speak as a private pilot, but
one thing
I love flying, but.
One thing I still haven't got yet is when you're flying a plane and you're flying your little Cessna and you're cruising along, why don't you have to have a second person with you as a spotter? I haven't figured that out yet, because obviously there's been many mid-airs. There have been that many mid-airs where planes have hit each other. I just don't understand. And helicopters, they've met each other a few times. I don't understand why drones, you've got to have a spotter for FPV if you're flying 50 meters off the ground and such. And all of a sudden, if you're flying in your Cessna and there's just you,
I'll look it up for you, Mark. Look it up for you. You've got skin in the game.
Skin in the game.
That's what it says in the book.
Skin in the game.
Yeah, that
skin in
protects
the
you.
game is the excuse. Skin in the game is the excuse, is it? So skin in the game is the excuse not to have a second person for safety.
Yep,
That's
and it
what
says
it's
in the
saying.
book. It says in the book, any facts which do not support the narrative shall be deemed inappropriate and unsubmittable. Yeah.
Skin in the game.
Skin in the game. But yeah, that's supposed to make it safer. And as Michael's saying,
even if the skin is all burnt and crispy, it's still in the game.
Do you know? Years ago, I wanted to learn to fly. I did want to learn to fly, and I'm so glad now that I went to learn to fly model planes insteid. I probably spent
when you're going to finish that
money. But
yeah, when are you going to finish learning? Yes.
When are you going to do that?
Yeah, when are you going to learn? That's right.
Yeah.
So FPV pilots telling us that the court arguments with our DQ and the FAA start on December 15th.
It's so unfortunate they're fighting a system that they can't beat. I mean, it doesn't matter what they bring to the table, what arguments, the FAA will effectively shoot them down because it's the government, and the courts are there pretty much to support the government. So in these times of homeland defense and all this crap, that all the arguments they bring up will just be struck out by national security, and that just usurps everything.
Yeah.
The Constitution, the laws, everything just gets thrown aside. You cannot allow this to continue, or everyone will die. Remote ID is there to protect the public from the threat of drones, and the judge will go, "Yeah, I saw that documentary on CNN. Yeah, and I've watched LinkedIn. It's true. We'll ban these people. Must have remote ID. There you go. It's a foregone conclusion. I'd be so shocked if they prevailed in their action. But who knows? I could be wrong. It's going to happen one day.
Yeah. I mean, remote ID, of course, as we all know, is absolutely pointless because anyone that wants to do anything naughty is not going to put remote ID on their aircraft. It's that simple.
But then they can say, this only happened because they didn't use remote ID.
Yeah. Look, we're definitely going to go because on that note. So, do we see anything else? Going once.
No.
Going twice.
No.
No. Do viewers.
Where's the hammer?
Look after yourselves. Where's the hammer? I know all these things I never got. Look after yourselves. I will see you again 2100 GMT next week when we'll talk yet more nonsense. Be careful out there, people. Be careful. Bye bye for now. One button.